Alex, hey, where are you going?
What? I'm going
What
fishing.
are you doing?
I'm going fishing. Sick of working.
Out there?
Yeah, there's fishing here, ain't there?
You don't understand, hey, dude. That's our manure pond, not a fishing pond, manure pond.
So there's no fish?
No, that cleans our sand for our separator.
Oh.
That's where we get the water from.
I thought it smelled funny.
Somebody needs a vacation. Welcome back to Teat Talk episode 6. Now that I got him away from the manure pond, we'll explain to it why we have that and why he thought he wanted to go fishing out there.
This episode's all about our sand separating system. So we'll take you in there and show you exactly how it runs.
Come on in. So right now, it all starts with here. We've got 2 pipes coming in, is bringing the manure from each of our barns into our reception tank. From there, our piston pump number 1 pumps the manure through this pipe and into the separator number 1 where the process begins.
So what happens is the manure falls into that square box, and there's a drum in there with holes probably 3/4 of an inch big. And the manure falls in there, and all the manure and sand falls down into this first triangle looking tank. Anything else, feed matter, cell phones, rubber gloves, all comes out of there and augers out into this bucket. Once this fills up to a certain level, it spills over into the second separator. So they both should be filled with sand to somewhere about right here. And what it does is the manure water, where I was just trying to fish, fills up in there and floats all the manure fines to the top, and they spill out into that white pipe into the holding tank on the other side of this one, and gets pumped back out to the manure pit.
Talk about the hoses.
We'll talk about the hoses. Settles out in these and then augers up. You come over here. So the sand will settle to the bottom, and there's augers in the bottom, and it'll auger up into that smaller one behind my dad, where basically should be 95 to 100% sand. These hoses, oh, you go ahead with the hoses.
These hoses, what this is this is the manure water coming in for Alex who's trying to go fishing. This water comes in and shoots on the bottom of the separator, the auger, and cleans the sand. That cleans the sand, sends it up to the top of the augers, and then drops into the washer where it gets cleaned with fresh water, about 2.5 gallons of fresh water per runtime minute. So come on up here, Alex, I'll talk to you about the fresh water.
So the fresh water is coming in through these 3 hoses, kind of a similar thing as the separators. Goes into the bottom and just kind of circulates in with the sand and cleans it out. When this gets full of water, it's got this overflow that goes into this little tank and then back into the separator. Kind of goes through the cycle again.
If you look, you can see where the sand is falling out of each separator. Come on over here, Maddie.
Yeah. So right up there, the sand is coming out of the 2 separators and into the sand washer. And once it's done going through this, it's kind of the same concept. The sand will settle to the bottom, get washed at the bottom, and that auger takes it up and out into the other room for the pile of production sand.
You can see separator number 1 has most of the sand coming out of it up there where it slides down in to get washed. Let's go in and show them the controls.
So this is the control panel that kind of tells us and makes sure everything is running. You want to see green lights not red lights. When there's red lights, it's broken. So right now this is our slurry pit level, which is where all the manure comes in from the two barns. Our wash water flow, which is the manure water coming from the fishing pond, and making sure we like it above 100 to 103 is where you want it, and then you know the flow is correct and the sand's getting washed correctly. And this is the discharge pit level, where once the manure fines and the manure water separate out of the sand and they go through that white pipe I showed you earlier, it goes to the discharge pit level and then gets pumped back out to the manure pit.
And that usually happens, it fills up usually every 10 minutes and then gets pumped every 10 minutes out, and then it just starts the cycle again. The fines settle out in the pond, the water goes to stage 2, the water goes to stage 3, and then back in to wash it. So we're recycling the water numerous amounts of time. This system here is run by Randy, Alex, and I are the three main ones, plus a couple of other guys kind of know what to look for. It's pretty much runs on its own. We just have to make sure the sand's clean like we want it and that it doesn't throw a fault at us. We have to change a few settings here and there, but not too often. We got it set pretty good right now. Some of the most important pieces on this whole system are our, what do you call them?
The sensors.
The sensors, because those tell us if something's wrong and shut the system down before all the manure gets everywhere.
So these are like the level probes that if any manure or water gets on these, it'll sense that and shut the system completely down. There's one on this wash water, or the discharge level pit, and there's one on the slurry level where all the manure comes in. So when that probe feels manure on it, it completely shuts the system down, because then something isn't working properly and making the manure come in quick enough.
And then that'll send us a fault on our telephones, and then we come and fix it and clean it.
And these are just the level sensors. Like when we were inside looking at that board, those tell us where the level of the manure or the discharge water is. So up here are the two wash water drums. Out on the fishing pond, that pier I was trying to catch something off of, at the very end of it there's a sump pump that sucks up the manure water and sends it into these two drums, and it cleans the water out. Any feed fines, basically anything. The holes on this drum are really, really, really small, so the only thing that can get through it is water, the manure water. And then that'll go into that reception bin and then pump through the system like we talked about before. We have both of them running. It's kind of more efficient that way. Keeps the water cleaner and keeps the flow going better. We found out that when we had them both running, we weren't having as many flow problems. And now, I mean, it fixed the problem we were having. So there's a wash system on each of these drums that runs quite often. Kind of just sprays a little bit of fresh water on there to make sure nothing's sticking to the inside of the drums at all. So.
Sounds good. Let's take you to the new sand, clean sand. So this is the finished sand room. The sand that we're cleaning right now is falling out of that. That started yesterday about this time. We started making that pile. That's about the size of the pile we get every day, where the cows move the sand out of the stalls. Basically what we do is we use our trusty New Holland loader, W80C, pretty good loader for this spot. And what we'll do is we'll move each side over to our clean sand area every day, and then we'll move that's our clean sand area right here, where we can start putting that back in for the cows. And then we'll move our pile that, what do we call that? Production pile, we call it. We'll move the production pile to either the north side or south side, and then let it drain for a day. And then after a day of draining, we move it over to the clean sand.
Yeah, so we'll do the sniff test. This sand was separated probably 3 days ago, 4 days ago.
This is day number 4 for this.
This is day number 4 after it came out of there. Take a big handful. You cannot smell manure on that. Like, I'm not kidding you. You can't smell. The only thing, it's just a little damp, but we put it in the stall. It dries out in the stall nice for the cows, and I mean, yeah, it's incredible.
It's a good system.
Goes from manure to sand that doesn't stink. So.
And we reuse the sand. All this sand we purchased in the last 3 months. So some of this is 3 to 4 months old. We're hoping we're catching 90 to 95%. We won't know till probably a year into it to see what is out in the lagoon. We're kind of hoping that's what we're hoping 90, and that's what that kind of design the system is designed for. So we'll see. I mean, our cell count, everything stayed good. Cattle are healthy, cattle are happy, and works pretty good.
Yeah. One other thing we didn't mention.
We'll show you how we put the sand back in the stalls.
Yeah. So we got this New Holland T6 145 with our Mensch side shooter. So with that loader in there, we put the sand that's dry and ready to go in here. And then we turn on the hydraulics. And there's an apron here, if you look down in there. And it brings it to the front, like towards us. And then falls on this basically snowmobile track. And it shoots it into the stall. We like to put the sand not all the way up in the front of the stall, but close to the front as we can, so when the cow comes in it, they'll actually kind of paw it, and every time they get up, they push sand to the back. So we want the sand in the front, and it'll work its way back out into the alley. And we put sand in basically in every day, but only one pen per day. We got a schedule that we follow, like one pen gets it Monday, the next pen gets it Tuesday. We try to keep that sand as level as possible so the cows are comfortable the entire time.
Works pretty good. So far, no issues. We've been about 5 months into this, so we're pretty happy and excited to see what the rest of the summer and fall goes, and winter, we'll see how that works. It'll be our first winter through the system, and hopefully it works good.
Yeah. So that's the sand separator in a nutshell.
Have any questions, please feel free to email us. Messages on Facebook, messages on Instagram, but anything we'll try to answer and do the best we can. And we appreciate you watching Teat Talk episode 6.
More to come. We got a lot of cool things in store for Teat Talk.
Yep. It's going to be a busy late summer and fall. So thank you very much for watching, and drink milk and eat cheese.
See you in the next one.
You betcha.